Hey Mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. So the day has finally come. We're on the Racing Green and it's time to take it down for an MOT. It'll also be its first proper drive as well. So there's a lot going on today. I've actually taken a couple of days off work. I had some leave left and I prayed I'd be able to find a good day for the MOT. The UK has just been battered by Storm Dara over the weekend, 95-mile-an-hour winds, trees falling down, complete and utter mess out there. This is the Monday afterwards, and thankfully, touch wood, it's actually quite a nice day today, blue skies, and it's not gonna rain. So a good day for getting it down for the MOT. So you might be wondering, this is a bit of a weird time to be getting an MOT on a classic Mini because it's mid-December. So I'm not going to be using this car on the salty roads through the winter. However, I would like to take it to Bingley Hall Mini Fair, and I think I'm going to put it in the Pride of Ownership display. Now, Bingley Hall for me is a couple of 100 miles, so it's 400-mile round trip. So I just have to see what it's like. If it's bad weather, if I have to take it up in the rain, then so be it. But I certainly don't want to make a habit of it. So I've insured the car for 12 months. It's not really a problem with my insurance. When you get old like me, insuring classic Minis, PL cost me 87 quid a year, I think. And even this, with all the modifications, I mean, I pretty much ticked every single box. Everything on this car, in one way or another, is modified. And even with all the modifications, no claims discount because you don't build it up on classics. I use my no claims on my other cars. Fully comprehensive, 97 quid for the year. In a previous episode, we got it all running, set it up the best I can in the garage here. I think the mixture's there or thereabouts, and we've run it up as well. So as far as the engine running, gearbox and that sort of thing, I don't think there's any problems. Obviously, big restoration like this, you do want to give it a bit of a shakedown. I keep a list as I go along of bits I might forget about, need to tighten up, make sure I adjust before I take it on the road. So I've sorted out all of them. It's things like, you know, checking all the wheel bearings are tight, all the wheel nuts, top and bottom swivels, that sort of thing. Now, before it goes for an MOT, there's lots of stuff you can do to yourself just to make sure that you've got the best chance of getting a pass. You know, the basic like lights, the washers, greasing up all the joints, the swivel joints, and just generally having a good look over it, making sure you haven't got nothing in the windscreen that's a distraction, making sure the seat belts work and things like that. So I've done all of that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay, but you never quite know. One thing that I had thought about last minute, luckily I managed to sort it out and get the part, was the battery clamp. So I didn't have a battery clamp in the boot. Now that will be an MOT failure because the battery's got to be secure. So I quickly went on eBay. I think it was Mini Mine. I ordered the battery clamp from 15 quid for the kit, with the bars, with the adjusters, with the nuts and bolts, etc. And it pretty much only took, it was a day and a half, 2 days to get here. So the first thing we need to do, let's do that now. Let's get the battery clamp fitted in. So the place I take my car for MOTs, I would say they're a Mini friendly garage. They understand Minis very well. I've been going there for years and they're a good bunch of blokes down there. If you're taking a car for an MOT, make it easy for them. Don't leave your boot full of rubbish. Make sure you haven't got kids' car seats and things like that in there. Just make their life a little bit easier if you can. I'm sure they won't mind. So there we go, there's the battery. Obviously it's loose at the moment, so that would be an MOT failure. And the battery clamp down kit we've got is just that metal bar and a few fixings there. So 5-minute job, bear with me, and we will have that on in no time. And just like that, 5 minutes later, there we go. So the battery's nicely clamped in now. I do get a bit of a bee in my bonnet about mini batteries, because I've seen so many minis catch fire, short out the main positive cable, some nasty, nasty stuff. So for me, make sure it's clamped down okay. Make sure you've got good insulation over the battery terminal. And for me, I could write a book on this stuff, fit the right battery as well. What a lot of people do, because they have batteries going flat, probably for other reasons on the car, maybe not using it enough, etc, etc, they fit bigger and bigger batteries. Generally, you can get away with it if you're lucky, but if you fit an incorrect battery and you don't clamp it down and that sort of thing, what it can result in is the terminals are the other way round on some of them, like the 096s, 063s. When the battery slides forward, it can short out on there. If it's not clamped down, other things like the toolkit and etc can come into contact with it. And then the worst thing is as well, people tend to keep a can of fuel in the boot as well. So not only do you get sparks and heat, but you get fuel in the boot as well. And yeah, I've seen many a Mini catch fire and burnt out for that reason. For me, an 038 is the right battery for the car. If you fit a bigger battery, it's okay, but if you are doing that because the battery keeps going flat, that is not helping the situation, because a bigger battery takes even longer to charge up. Yes, to begin with, it might last longer between being fully charged and going flat to the point that you need to jump start the car. But if you're using the car infrequently, you're only doing short runs in it, actually a bigger battery exacerbates the problem even worse, because a bigger battery takes longer to recharge up to full voltage, which means a bigger battery is sitting there not fully charged, and that causes the battery to sulfate. So for me, I've always found I've never had a problem with the standard battery on a Mini. If you've got problems with it going flat, then you need to cure those problems and fix that fault. Don't just think by sticking a bigger battery on it, it's going to cure your problems. Something like this, non-injection, non-SPI carburetted car, the battery on that will last months and months and months without going flat. On PL and MPI Mini, probably about a month, 6 weeks before that goes flat, because the ECUs on it will have a very, very slight parasitic drain. Right, so I think we're good to go. That's the battery clamp sorted out. All the lights are good, the wipers work, the washers, seat belts are all good. Like I say, I've gone round and I've greased everything, checked everything's tight. I think we're good to go, but you never know. This has pretty much been a bare shell rebuild. I think everything has been unbolted from the car at some point, so fingers crossed. Must remember to stop for fuel as well. It's literally only got probably half a can of fuel in it at the moment. Right then, let's do it. Next stop, MOT station, or get some fuel first, but as you can see, thankfully, it is nice and dry. Might take the slightly scenic route down there rather than going down the main sort of bypass. Not that I don't trust it, but you know. Right, so fuel. I always use super unleaded. Less ethanol in it. It's E5, isn't it? For the mileage, I do. Who cares if it costs a bit more? Hopefully they've got some, because every now and again they run out. Right, so I stuck 30 quid worth in, which was about 20 litres. Not going to brim it first time, probably want it about halfway, just in case. You don't know whether the sender unit's going to leak inside the tank. Not uncommon that. So yeah, I've just had a quick look, doesn't seem to be leaking, but yeah, if you brim it first time and the sender unit's leaking, you're in a world of pain then. So yeah, The other thing I've done is I've left plenty of time to get to the MOT as well, just in case something goes wrong. Right, so we're a few minutes in, it's still warming up. I've taken the choke off now, but I can feel it's not quite warmed up yet. Good news, everything seems to be working. So our speedo's working, rev counter's working, fuel gauge is reading just under 3/4. Temperature gauge is just getting up just below halfway at the moment. So yeah, all good. You can see the road's a bit wet here. Like I say, I'm a bit, don't want to get it dirty. So yeah, I've been very, very lucky with the weather today. Everything seems to be driving all right. I've got my hands off the wheel, so it's tracking pretty good. Oh, I don't have 5 gears, do I? Right, so if you're familiar with this area, I'm just going past Hassocks, so we can carry on up this road here. It will take us onto the main A23. It's a 3-lane, 70-mile-an-hour road. I'm going to go the back road just in case, just to make sure everything's okay. And it takes you up Ditchling Beacon actually, which is a bit of a test. If it's going to overheat or any problems, it'll find it going up Ditchling Beacon. Obviously we're still running it in at the moment, so can't really use all the rev range, but for running it in we do want to be going up and down the revs, on and off the throttle, because that helps put pressure in the cylinders, bed the rings in. If you drive it really, really gently while you're running it in, the rings never bed in properly. You can glaze the bores, so it's not actually a bad thing to give it a bit of a run when you can. Obviously the main running in will come on the trip up to Bingley Hall. Right, so we're at the bottom of Ditchling Beacon now. This is a cyclist's worst nightmare when you do the London to Brighton bike ride. Halfway on the temperature gauge. So this is a bit of a test because yeah, you go up slowly, bit of load on the engine and not much airflow through the radiator. So we see what it's like when we get to the top. And I think what I'll do, if it's all good when we get to the MOT station, then we will come back along the bypass. Even here it's pulling really nicely actually. I mean, this won't come out on the camera, but this is quite a steep gradient. Even there, 3rd gear, that would usually just bog down in a 998. That's actually quite torquey. Amazed we haven't had to change down yet. Oh, caught some branches there. Did not want to do that. Well, there you go, all the way from top to bottom in 3rd gear. Temperature gauge is still halfway. That's 70 miles an hour. That is good as gold. pull through the gears again. It's feeling better and better and better all the time. Right, so great news, folks. There we go. It's a pass. No problems, no advisories. I was actually quite impressed with the emissions. It was running at 1.6% CO, very, very low hydrocarbons. So that Gunson's gas tester I bought, that was reading 2% CO. So yeah, it does say it's accurate to within 0.5%. So that's pretty good. And we don't want it running too rich. Obviously, next big trip for this will be Bingley Hall Mini Fair, 400-mile round trip. I've got no concerns at all. Here we are doing 70 miles an hour. We're keeping up with the flow of the traffic. It's nice and relaxed. It's not too noisy. And yeah, we've even got a bit of power on reserve if we do want to start overtaking something. Pulls well. No problem overtaking. Right, pretty successful. Like I said, there's our MOT certificate. First time pass, pretty successful run out. Up the bypass as well, up to motorway speeds. No problems at all, just a few little niggly rattles to sort out, but hey ho, it's a Mini. And that's, I'm going to declare the restoration as finished. Obviously, Minis always need work doing to them, but as far as restoring this car, I'm very, very pleased to say that restoration is now finished. Coming up in a future video, I will tot up all the costs and let you know how much it's cost me to restore this Racing Green Mini John Cooper conversion in the 30th anniversary livery. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed the series. Please remember to give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing, and I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.